I have decided to name it BD, not for baby daddy. So we're going to be starting off with our pattern. Now, you should be able to find the pattern. It'll be tagged below. For our materials, we're going to be using this denim. I just had it in my stash over there. I said I need to use it. I had it for like 2 years. Not gonna lie. I'm pretty sure I got this from Joann's, which is now closed in my area. If you have it in yours, I don't know if they have it in stock again. It was 2 years ago, but just the bees. We're also going to be using this other bee fabric that I got from the Joann's probably a year and a half ago. I bought them at different times, so we're going to use this one for the lining. So we're going to have the white denim fabric on the outside. It's thicker, and then this one's a little looser, more like a linen. I would suggest using some type of woven interface, a thick one. I'll try to link a fusible interface on the video to see what you can be using. However, I don't have a thick one. So for the bottom of my pattern where the bag fits, I want it to be very stable. So I just have this. It's a folder. It came with some of my rulers that I bought off on Amazon. For this pattern specifically, I'm going to be using it for the base. So this will be where the bag sits, and the bag will, yeah. And again, I do want to make the bag a little thicker, even though it is a denim. It's not too much of a heavyweight denim. We're just going to be adding some of this interfacing on there. It's an iron fusible featherweight. It's the only one I have that's thick enough. I need to buy more interfacing, but we'll get there. Then you're going to need a zipper, and then we're going to have a button. We just have a single one just for the buttonholes. It's going to be for the machine when we do the button stitches. If you are not using the buttonhole stitch on a machine, you don't need a button. And then we have these D-rings for the bag. They're going to be attached to the sides. So we're only going to need two because we're going to be stitching the straps on instead of connecting them. These are just for the connectable shoulder straps instead of just the armhole straps. So that's what we're going to be using these for. Now we just have to cut out our fabric. All right, so all your pieces should be cut out by now. I just went over to my iron and ironed everything that needed to be ironed down. That includes ironing down the interfacing to my two side panels. So that's just looking like this. One side with the denim, one side with the fusible piece. Iron them down with the interface. I also ironed down my seam allowance. On your pattern, it should tell you where to fold these. So we got two of those. Then we have our two straps. That will be for the bag. So the first thing you want to do, it'll be one whole piece. Like this. Again, it'll tell you where to iron down only when you get the pattern. But you want to fold over. You want to fold over your end pieces. So on this end first, so you'll fold that this way, then you'll fold it in the middle, and then you'll fold both those ends in. So everything's all tucked in. There should be no raw edges showing on any of the straps. So that's everything that we had to iron. Now, we're going to first sew down this foam. If you're using something that's detachable, you can also use an interface. And we're also going to be sewing the straps just to get that out the way. Alright, so this is how our bottom should be looking. It should just be crisscross, however thick of a patch design you want. This mine's 2 inches. Now we're going to get to our buttonholes, which in the end are going to look like this. I completed one already. This is just the back because it's in white, the same color as my jean fabric. I just wanted to do that in one color, so as far away it's not that noticeable. This would be the part where you would skip the buttonholes. You would just do the interfacing on the side of the pattern, of the side pattern, and then you would just skip this buttonhole step. So you wouldn't have to sit here for another 20 minutes. Now, if you want more buttonholes, not only on the side panels, but also on these, the front and the back panels, that is where you would sit down, mark up these, put in all your buttonholes.
This is how your buttonholes should be looking after you put all the buttonholes in. Make sure you are cutting out your buttonholes at this stage in time so you don't have to do it a little later. And now we're going to be attaching the straps to the front and back panels. Now to do this, you're going to just go around the edges as close as possible. And then I also went an inch up, so it should be about an inch square. So just have that tacked down if you want to add extra. Now we're going to be sewing the front and back panels to our bottom panel, making sure the notches are matching up. When we're done sewing those pieces together, we're going to trim the foam back so there isn't a lot of fabric bunching up along the seams. If you're using interfacing, it shouldn't be that much of a problem, but if you feel like it is a lot of fabric, you can also cut those off. After that, we are going to iron our seams and do 1/4 of an inch seam allowance along the front and the back panel. To attach the zipper, we're going to sandwich the zipper tape in between the main panel and our lining, making sure the fabrics are right sides together with the zipper in between. We're going to sew it down at 1/4 of an inch seam allowance so you don't have to change it to the zipper teeth on your machine if you wouldn't like to. We're going to do that to both ends and make sure our zipper remains open so that later we can turn our bag right sides. You would also know that the lining is a little bit shorter than the main fabric. That is to prevent the lining from bunching up, and it also allows for a more cleaner polished seam. Now when you're done with that, you're going to base stitch the lining to the main fabric, making sure to pin along the sides for an even finish. And also add small snippets so you can sew along the curve properly. Now do not snip past the basting stitch. You do not want to go past that. When we're done with that, we are going to move on to sewing down the D-rings. So the strap connectors should have been ironed down, so we are going to slip the D-ring where the connector folds down. We will sew it down to the side panel by sewing it close to the D-ring as the sewing machine foot allows it to be sewn, and then we're going to sew close to the connector edges. Now we are going to do a basting stitch along our side panels, connecting the interfacing with that as well, wrong sides together. To connect the side panels to the bag, we are going to pin them down together along the sides, making sure our notches are aligned. Now, you should add as many pins to the curves and take your time as you sew it down, or else you will be kind of mad at your sewing machine. I recommend doing a basting stitch so you can smooth everything out before doing a regular stitch where you sew everything down together correctly, just so you don't have too much bunching at the seams and you can see if you need to fix things as you go. We're going to trim away the excess fabric, about half of it, and I'm going to be using a 1-inch bias tape to cover my raw edges. We're going to cut more of the tape than you need because we're going to tuck in the tail as we sew towards the end. We're going to try to stitch in the ditch or sew over your existing stitch. Now we're going to go slow along those curves, making sure to catch everything because we do not want to sew twice. And just take your time and make sure everything is looking as good as you want it to, especially around those curves. You definitely want to take your time around those. So now the making of the bag should be complete. We're just going to go ahead and cut away any of those loose threads before turning our bag right sides. The zipper should be open, so you want to take your time pushing the fabric through, and it should take you about a good 15 minutes or so of shaping and pressing out the bag until it's to your liking. Now, if you're like me and you didn't already open up your buttonholes, this would be the time where you take your seam ripper or fabric scissors and carefully cut those buttonholes open. Now, you don't want to cut through your lining fabric, so you just want to pinch that away before going through and trimming away that extra fabric.
Alrighty guys, we have finished the bag. I have decided to name it BD, not for baby daddy, but for the button duffle. So it'll be called the button duffle, BD for short. Now, I added these straps. I didn't make a video on it. If you guys would like a video on how to make adjustable straps like these, just let me know in the comments and I will gladly show you guys how to make one. However, I just made this one real quick. I also added, these aren't rivets, these are actually snap closures. I just like the look of them better. So I put them on here. I put them on the bottom where the bag sits. You got 4 on the bottom. And then 2 attaching to these handles on each side. I didn't do them to the sides. I think I should have. If you're gonna add rivets, you should also add them to the sides and also to strap if you would like. I don't really mind it too much. On the inside, if you guys made it bare with no pocket, then you guys wouldn't have any pockets. However, I made this little zipper pocket inside. Again, if you want a tutorial on that, I will gladly leave one, a little short video on how to do a pocket like this on the inside. You can also just put in a patch pocket. Alright, y'all, this is my iPad. Don't judge me. It's a little crusty, but let's see what it do. Alright. Alright, so it does go in. Let's close this bag. Alright, it fits in there actually quite perfectly. If you want to add some more stuff in here, you got a lot of space in here. There's only one thing in here and it's huge. It has so much space inside. So, and then I'm also going to make some patch pockets. That's coming soon. I will make a few of those in some videos, and then I'm going to show you guys how to add the buttons to those. So therefore, if you're going to make your own BD, then you can also add your own BD pockets. And then you can have a cute little bag. Oh, it's so adorable. That is it for this video. And please like and share and comment if you make the bag. Tag me. It'll be so cute. Yeah. See you guys in the next one.